Asuu to begin two-week warning strike Monday. Tinubu's pardon of convicts ignites controversy and outrage. Lagos residents lament rising poverty, urge government to provide relief. And on this foreign scene, Cameroonians head to polls as President Biya seeks 8th term. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Mariam Idris. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, Asuu, has directed all its branches nationwide to begin a total indefinite two-week warning strike starting tomorrow, Monday. Asuu President Professor Chris Piwuna announced the decision during a press briefing at the union's National Secretariat at the University of Abuja on Sunday. He said the strike followed the federal government's failure to address long-standing demands of the union, which include issues of funding for public universities, unpaid allowances, and the implementation of past agreements. Professor Piwuna described the action as necessary to compel the government to do the needful, adding that university lecturers have been patient for too long. The strike is expected to disrupt academic activities across public universities nationwide as the union mobilizes its members for full compliance.
A briefing of the 29th September 2025. The NEC meeting decried the neglect of the university system and government's consistent refusal to hit its demand.
Now, the federal government has warned the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Asuu, that it will enforce the no work, no pay policy if lecturers continue their ongoing strike. In a joint statement issued Sunday night, the Minister of Education, Maruf Tunji and the Minister of State for Education, Suwaiba Said Ahmad, reaffirmed government's commitment to resolving Asuu's grievances through dialogue. The ministers said the government has shown sincerity, patience, and goodwill in addressing most of Asuu's demand, including improved teaching allowances and better working conditions. They explained that remaining issues fall under the purview of university governing councils, which have now been reconstituted to handle them. The statement, however, criticized Asuu's decision to embark on strike, describing it as unfair to students and the public. Under President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, the government restated its commitment to maintaining academic stability, but warned that the no work, no pay policy remains in force and will be applied if disruption continue. The minister urged Asuu to return to dialogue in the interest of the education sector and the nation's students. In similar news, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Asuu, has expressed deep concern over the growing brain drain in Nigeria's public universities, revealing that 309 professors have resigned within the past 9 months in search of better opportunities abroad. Asuu Zonal Chairman for Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, and Katsina states, Abubakar Sabo, described the situation as an intellectual hemorrhage, threatening the survival of the system. He warns that the union might embark on a two-week warning strike if the federal government fails to address issues of funding, earned allowances, and poor working conditions. Asuu accused the government of neglecting key reports and failing to honor previous agreements, while inflation and weak salaries continue to push senior academics out of the country. Now, President Bola Tinubu's decision to pardon 175 Nigerians has sparked mixed reactions nationwide, with many describing it as politically motivated. The National Council of State-endorsed move granted freedom to 82 inmates, reduced sentences for 65 orders, and commuted 7 death sentences to life imprisonment. Notable figures like nationalist Herbert Macaulay, Major General Mamman Giavaza, and the Ogoni 9 executed under the Abacha regime received posthumous pardons. Former lawmaker Farouk Lawan, convicted in the fuel subsidy bribery scandal, was among those pardoned. However, excluding IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu has sparked public outrage. Activist Omoyele Sowore criticized the move as selective justice, while others argue that releasing Kanu could embolden violent separatist groups. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar accused President Tinubu of abusing the presidential power of mercy, saying it undermines the sanctity of justice and risk encouraging lawlessness. Also, African Democratic Congress, ADC, has condemned the president's action, stating that the decision undermines Nigeria's fight against narcotics and damages the country's international standing. So joining us via Zoom to discuss more on the presidential pardon story is a public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us at News Hour.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you very much. So in your view, what could be the motivations behind President Tinubu's use of presidential pardon powers? Are they politically or legal or humanitarian considerations?
Well, thank you very much. Well, it is within his powers to pardon those who either have been incarcerated or those who have been found guilty, or whatever it is. It is within his powers to pardon them, and we need to know that the presidential or the gubernatorial pardons have both positive and negative impacts for us to consider. But as far as his powers are concerned, it is within his power to do so. So it may be political, it may not be political, but it is within his power to do so.
As a public affairs analyst, what do you think are the potential implications of presidential pardons on Nigeria's justice system and the rule of law?
Well, like I said, there are both positive and negative implications of these presidential or gubernatorial pardons that come once in a while. First and foremost, on the positive side, these pardons can address judicial injustices that have been done to certain people in the past. For example, the Ogoni 9 that you have talked about. We all know the circumstances under which Saruwa and his colleagues were executed by Abacha. And the wounds that have been inflicted upon the Ogoni nation as a result of this perceived injustice. So this posthumous pardon would clearly seem to address these injustices or seeming judicial injustices that have been done to the Ogoni 9. This is just one example. Number two positive is that it helps to build national unity. This pardon for the Ogoni 9, let me use the Ogonis again as an example, will help to heal these wounds from that side of the nation and to bring to closure all the pains of years and decades that have been done to that side of the nation. So it corrects judicial injustices, it brings about national unity, as well as it also engenders empathy and mercy. We know that mercy prevails over judgment. So these are just two or three positive aspects of presidential pardons. But on the flip side, the negative aspects of this is that it engenders political corruption. For example, the president can use this opportunity to pardon family, friends, and cronies, party cronies, or those who have been loyal to him, irrespective of whether they deserve to be pardoned. You can imagine somebody who has done criminal things. Why should they be pardoned? They should be rotting in jail. And so if I'm a crony of the president, why should I be afraid of committing crime knowing that my pally up there will eventually pardon me? So it engenders political corruption. Number two, it undermines the rule of law. You were already grappling with judicial corruption in this country. So if we have a corrupt judiciary and then we have a corrupt executive, then where is the deterrent that comes from punishment? So everybody will feel free to engage in crime, knowing very well that someday we're all going to be pardoned. So both positively and negatively, we need to look at it so that we'll be able to do things that will not undermine the rule of law and the deterrent that comes from punishment.
Okay, now, could presidential pardons influence political dynamics or power structures in Nigeria? If so, how?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like I said, why will I be afraid? Where is the deterrent not to commit crime if I know that tomorrow I'm going to be pardoned? Look at the issues we're grappling with. A former Minister of Finance stealing billions, Yahaya Bello stealing billions. a former attorney general is stealing billions, you know. Why will I be afraid of committing crime knowing that tomorrow, look at the issue of Ganduje, who has been caught on camera. And you can imagine tomorrow a president comes and is pardoning Ganduje, just like Lawan has been pardoned after with all the evidence. And yet you find somebody who stole a goat rotting in prison endlessly. Somebody who stole bread because of hunger is there rotting in prison unpardoned. And people who have destroyed the fabric of our nation are being pardoned left, right, and center. It destroys trust in governance. It is unfair to the generality of Nigerians, particularly those who are accused of very minor lesser crimes. You can imagine tomorrow now, somebody will come and pardon somebody like Bello Turji. After all the killings and the slaughter of thousands of innocent Nigerians, somebody will come out tomorrow and say he's pardoning Bello Turji. So it has grave negative political implications unless something is done to address the limitless powers of presidents and governors to grant pardons.
Well, thank you, Sunday Amos, for sharing your insight with us on News Hour.
Thank you. It's been a privilege.
Away from that, in a significant return of peace to once bandits invaded communities of the Musa local government area of Katsina State, schools, health facilities, markets, courts and roads that were forced to close have been reopened. The Musa local government has grappled with insecurity which affected livelihoods, social and economic well-being of residents for decades. Abdullahi Yamadi visited the Musa local government area recently to assess the peace deal signed between communities and the repentant bandits. His reports.
The menace, which is the worst phenomenon ever experienced by residents, dragged every aspect of human endeavors to its knees. However, at the moment, roads and communities that were once inaccessible have been reopened, with people going about their routine activities across the area without hindrance. For instance, this is the 20-kilometer Entumaki-Damusa road, which was once one of the most dangerous routes in Katsina State. Many people have been killed, several others abducted along this road in recent times. Months ago, no one dares ply this road at odd hours. In fact, at many instances, it was declared closed due to frequent onslaught on motorists and other road users. From Entumaki, Damusa to Marar Katsinawa up to Runka village in Safana local government area, about 45 kilometers, the common sight is large herds of livestock grazing, a practice which was impossible a few months ago. We have witnessed a significant commitment by the repentant bandits. Health facilities, schools, roads and markets that were once closed due to banditry have been reopened. To us, it is a moment of joy. It is a renewed hope to all of us. Now we are free to go to farms and markets. The repentant bandits are free to move across towns and villages of the area without hindrance. This is coming as fear still occupied the mind of some residents. Trust TV News crew also visited some settlements deep inside Rugu Forest, which were once bandits' enclaves, precisely at Maigezoji area. From the heart of Damusa town to the remote corner of Maigezoji is about 15 kilometers drive, which took us about an hour due to bad roads. The entire area was under the control of this bandit's kingpin, popularly known as Tahiru, who once operated around Damusa and some parts of Kankara local government areas. I can tell you, without mincing words, that this is the best peace deal. I can see sincerity from both sides, unlike before. Eager to return to school, children were seen taking lessons at an Islamia school constructed by the federal government under the Ruga project during the former administration of late President Muhammadu Buhari. Trying to recover from the past, putting the memories of the ugly incidents behind, residents are calling on the government to urgently fulfill its own parts of promises to both the affected communities and repentant bandits, which is key to ensuring lasting peace. Abdullahi Izumayamadi, Trust Television News, Kazina.
As Kaduna State continues to grapple with security concerns in its southern region, stakeholders in Kagarko local government have restated their commitment to sustaining peace and unity in their communities. At an expanded security meeting held at the Kagarko community, leaders, traditional rulers, youth and women representatives emphasized that peaceful coexistence remains their collective priority. Bello Musa has more.
The meeting followed recent reports of unrest involving herdsmen and farmers in parts of Kagarko local government area. Women leader Mrs. Charity Dangana voiced the growing concern of women in the community over nighttime invasions of farmlands by suspected herders, an unusual development that has unsettled residents.
In Kagarko, it has been peaceful, and it will continue to be peaceful. And we are happy that today more peace has come to Kagarko local government.
Youth leader John Musa from the Kabara district dismissed reports of any crisis in the area, saying the situation had been exaggerated. According to him, people in Kagarko continue to live and work together in peace.
The protest which we did is between the farmers and the Fulanis, because they graze in our farms, they intrude into the farms, they invaded into our farms and begin to destroy them. So we just raised an alarm so that the traditional rulers should take note of that and they should please amend what is going on.
Other stakeholders at the meeting reaffirmed that cooperation among farmers, herders, and residents remains strong. They credited this to Governor Obasani's continued investment in peace building, dialogue, and the creation of community security committees that help resolve disputes early.
The whole southern Kaduna, the whole state, Kagarko local government is the best. So there is no way that somebody will come and spoil Kagarko local government because the interest of his selfishness or the interest of his own feeling. So I want the federal government and the state government to look into it. We don't have that record, and we cannot have that record.
And any person who thinks he has the monopoly of violence to come and stage a protest in Kagarko local government, we are not going to allow it. The people who led the protest to the Emir's Palace hear their grievances, and we've listened to them, and we've taken measures to address the issue of farmer herders crisis, which is affecting the entire country.
And that there is no unrest in Kagarko. Wherever you have people, even siblings usually have a little one or two misunderstandings which they resolve. And the issues, if any, have been resolved.
Representing the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa Lekita urged the people of Kagarko and the wider southern Kaduna area to maintain close collaboration with security agencies to protect the peace they have built.
And I've been here to meet with the people to hear from them what actually pushed them or motivated them to come out to claim in a protest that the state of insecurity in Kagarko has become bad. You know, the Chief of Defense Staff has the non-kinetic approach to solving the problem of insecurity across the country.
At the end of the meeting, stakeholders gently reaffirmed their commitment to upholding the peace Kagorko is known for, saying unity and mutual trust remain the foundation of their community life. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Now, troops of Operation Hatankai Joint Task Force in the Northeast has neutralized 9 Boko Haram terrorists and recovered 5 million naira ransom money during a patrol in Magumeri local government area of and Gajaram, the headquarters of Nganzai local government area. A statement on Saturday by the Media Information Officer of the Joint Task Force, Operation Hatankai, Lieutenant Colonel Sani Uba, said in continuation of ongoing counter-terrorism operations in the Northeast, troops of OPHK conducted a successful fighting patrol in response to credible intelligence on the movement of Boko Haram terrorists around Goni, Junari, and Magumeri local government area of Borno State on October 10, 2025. Uba said the terrorists reportedly moving on 2 vehicles and 25 food fighters were observed setting houses ablaze and terrorizing locals and acting swiftly. The troops launched an aggressive onslaught to intercept the threat. He said as troops advanced towards the objective, the terrorists attempted to flee towards Damjiakiri village, adding that vehicle-borne fighters dispersed to an unknown location while foot fighters were pursued over a distance of approximately 92 kilometers. The OPHK spokesman said after about 4 hours of tactical pursuit, troops established contact with the fleeing terrorists, noting that a frontal attack was immediately launched and troops engaged the terrorists with a heavy barrage of fire, resulting in the neutralization of 5 terrorists as the remaining 19 dispersed in disarray, while some were wounded as blood trails were observed at the contact scene. Now, fuel scarcity has continued to cripple business and social activities in Sokoto metropolis, despite the suspension of the 3-day strike by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pangasan. Most filling stations remain closed, while the fuel dispensing sell petrol between 960 naira and 970 naira per litre. Even NNPC retail outlets across the city were not selling as of Saturday. At the black market, fuel prices have surged to as high as 1,250 per litre, forcing motorists to buy from roadside vendors. Residents accuse marketers of hoarding the product to exploit the situation, while normal supply is yet to resume days after the strike suspension. The Federal Capital Territory FCT has been permanently placed on an additional flood alert issued by the Federal Ministry of Environment's National Flood Early Warning Center. The alert, which was issued through a circular signed by the Director, Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zone Management Department of the Ministry, Usman Abdullahi Bokani, also placed 7 other states on its watch list. The 7 other states are Adamawa, Anambra, Enugu, Rivers, Delta, Kebbi, and Taraba. The FCT and the other states were said to be in addition to the flood prediction on October 9th, which the center said due to their locations and environs were to experience heavy rainfall that may lead to flooding between October 11th and 13th. Mabushi, Maraba, Yanya, Wuse 1 and 2, Kuje, Guzaipe, and Gerki 1 and 2 were placed on high alert in the FCT. Now, some farmers in Abeokuta are lamenting the crash in prices of farm produce as a cause of production inputs like fertilizer, fuel, and labor increases, forcing them to sell at a loss. The farmers disclosed to Trust TV that the situation is leading to financial distress, with some being discouraged from planting next season due to low profitability. Trust TV's Abbas Dalibi now report.
Yakubu Saleh, who is into farming business in Abeokuta for over 12 years, disclosed that he has produced many bags of maize and sweet potatoes from the beginning and towards the end of the rainy season. However, with the crash in the price of farm produce and the increase in the cost of production input, he is counting losses.
Especially the chemical money and the fertilizer when I use, I even spent almost 800,000 and I get 47 bags. So for now, if I carry this maize, go to the market, if I minus my 800,000 for inside, which is I suffer for nothing from January to August.
Another farmer, Ahmed Sani Mekudi, disclosed that the government did well in stabilizing and reducing the cost of farm produce and other food items, which is a welcome development for the masses. However, that is also affecting the farm production at local level, and hence call on government to consider reducing the cost of fertilizers and other chemicals used in the farm production. Now, a bag of maize is selling in between 23 to 25,000 naira. However, government has to balance it by reducing the price of fertilizer and other chemicals used in the farm to encourage local farmers. Mohamed Yakubu Bubayero, an expert and also farming advocate, urged government to formulate policies that include processing facilities to absorb excess produce and subsidize to support local agriculture.
Food security is national security, and you cannot achieve national security without food security. So, and also on the part of policy, you cannot sit after we told farmers go to farm and then just wake up one day and see that the government have just bring out a policy to import food. You see, this is some of the kind of issue that we need to come together to sit down and see how we can help government redesign.
Farmers expect government intervention as soon as possible to ease their suffering. From Abeokuta, Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV.
Minister of Works David Umahi has ordered the withdrawal of the Abuja-bound carriageway of the ongoing Mararaba-Kefi Road reconstruction project from China Harbour Engineering Company Limited. The report.
Umahi, while inspecting the project on Saturday, expressed displeasure, citing poor performance and disregard for directives. He stated that the 43.65-kilometer dual carriageway would now be handled by local contractors to ensure speed and quality delivery. Umahi says the ministry has now directed that as a matter of policy, every project site must ensure that the entire stretch of the route is not encumbered by potholes or other defects.
When they are working, let them use a stone base to make up the carriageway. Then later we can mill and then so on this, the outer shoulder that is going to give you, okay? Now, you find out that it's a very sharp slope. So we are going to use, curb. But I wouldn't want to use the kind of curb that China Harbour is using. Those small curbs. They have to go and bring the machine and lay the curb.
Meanwhile, the minister expressed disappointment at Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde's criticisms of the cost per kilometer of federal roads, insisting that the ministry's figure was transparent and backed by sound engineering principles.
There is no ambiguity in cost per kilometer, but I'm teaching them that cost per kilometer could be divided into estimated cost, which has elements of variance, and then average cost, which is definitive. That is what it is.
Umahi also addressed the persistent traffic congestion along Abuja-Mararaba-Kefi Highway, saying that the federal government would work with the Nasarawa state government to remove roadside trading and illegal structures.
Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and Chairman of the Constitution Review Committee, Benjamin Kalu, has said the ongoing review must produce a constitution that truly serves the Nigerian people. Speaking at the committee's retreat in Enugu, Kalu said Nigerians want a constitution that empowers local governments, promotes women's inclusion, strengthens fiscal federalism, and ensures accountability and credible elections. He urged the members to focus on unity, discipline, and national interest in the amendment process, noting that reforms should reflect what is best for all Nigerians. Governor of Enugu State, Peter Mba, represented by Deputy Governor Ifeanyi Osai, called for comprehensive judicial and police reforms to ensure speedy justice and better security.
The work we do here in Enugu over the next few days will define the trajectory of Nigeria's democracy for the next generation. We will be remembered. The assembly that empowered local governments, thereby bringing governance closer to the people. We will be remembered. The assembly that shattered the glass ceiling, guaranteed women's full participation in public life.
For those of us who are lawyers and practice law, you will know that the content and context of investigation in this country is essentially detention and extraction of confession from witnesses. So, while we look at a legislative framework that will create state police, it's also good to look at the Police Act and see if Parliament will assist in developing operational guide.
This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Lagos residents lament rising poverty, urge government to provide relief. More news when we return. Just stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Now let's take a recap of our major stories again. Asuu to begin 2-week warning strike Monday. Tinubu's pardon of a convict ignites controversy and outrage. Moving on to more stories. Adolescent girls from secondary schools in Bauchi have called on the government at all levels to make girls' education top priority. The call came after a street walk held to mark the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports.
Dozens of girls marched through the street of Bauchi metropolis from the Ministry of Education to the government house carrying placards and chanting messages about equal access to education. They said while progress has been made, many girls still face barriers such as poverty, early marriage, and cultural restrictions that keep them out of school.
The government to build more schools, and they should make organizations mainly because of girl child. And next year, girl child celebration should be more than this. Like, want more girls to come to school. Yes.
Seriously, I feel unpleasant because every girl deserves to have a right to study. So I feel very uncomfortable if I see girls not going to school. I want every girl to become like me, go to school, study, and become someone else.
The government to provide uniform for the girls, uniform, writing materials, socks and sandals, school bags, textbooks, and they should please give them scholarship in order to be educated, and they should be the leaders of tomorrow.
The Bauchi State Ministry of Education says the event is part of the ongoing effort to raise awareness among parents and communities about the importance of educating the girls. Officials also noted that the state is benefiting from a World Bank-assisted education project aimed at improving access and quality in schools.
This team replicate the effort we are making. The girl I am, that means knowing their potentials as girls, and at the same time coming back to school for the second chance for those that have missed the effort or the chance at the first instance because of one reason or the other. What is it?
Non-formal centers under the alternative education of Agile, where we give those adolescent girls that got married early or were not able to complete school a second chance to go back to school. There we are going to teach, we have started teaching them literacy and numeracy, and we are also going to give them skill acquisition. So these are few of the successes we have recorded. We have so many successes, but these are just few out of the many we have.
Authorities further said married girls will continue to be supported through flexible learning programs so they can continue their education even after marriage, a move they believe will benefit families and society at large. Adamu Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
A 52-year-old businessman, Ejiofor Godwin Emeka, has been arrested by operatives from the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport for drug trafficking. NDLEA spokesman Femi Babafemi said in a statement that Emeka, who operates boutiques in Lagos and Onitsha, arrived from Bangkok, Thailand, on October 8 via an Ethiopian Airlines flight. A body scan confirmed he had ingested illicit drugs, leading to the recovery of 58 wraps of cocaine concealed in his clothing. He later excreted 69 more wraps during observation, bringing the total to 127 cocaine pellets weighing 1.388 kilograms. In related operations, NDLEA officers intercepted several shipments of narcotics at courier firms in Lagos. The seizures include methamphetamine, pentazocine, tramadol, skunk, cocaine, and cannabis concealed in everyday items like ceramics, handbags, and herbal containers, and destined for the UK, Turkey, Australia, and the UAE. Meanwhile, over 27,000 pills of rohypnol hidden in alcoholic drinks, sachet, bound for South Africa, were seized at Lagos Airport. Follow-up operations led to the arrest of a suspect, Samuel Omori, also known as Yellow. The agency also arrested an Italy-based businessman attempting to export tramadol and tempatadol tablets to Europe for a fee of €945. Concerns continue to mount over the increasing cost of living and deepening poverty in the country. Residents described the situation as unbearable for many households. The report.
Some concerned Lagos residents have raised alarm over the worsening standard of living in Lagos State, describing the current poverty rate as unprecedented in the state's recent history.
This present government in Lagos, we've not experienced this rate of poverty before. And then we need to state clearly, it's according to World Bank now, which we cannot say. I know if World Bank had done more research, they would have known that the 63% rate of poverty in Nigeria is not what it is. If they do more research down to our local communities, they will know that it's higher than that. And then Lagos State, I think in the whole federation now in Nigeria, Lagos State should account for more, because more Nigerians living in Lagos, let me say more residents of Lagos, cannot afford high cost of living. The standard of living depreciates every day. People who could afford to live in a 2-bedroom flat can no longer afford it. People who have duplex, who have houses today, no longer have, as a result of a lot of things.
They expressed frustration over the escalating cost of basic necessities, particularly gas.
The cost of living now is very high. And with this, what is going on now, exactly, let's say particularly the gas filling now, we can't be able to survive with this, with what we are working, with our source of living. So how can we be working? Let's say probably I'm earning 20 to 35,000 monthly, and I will need gas to cook, to do one or two things, even to power the generator. A 1 kg of gas now is now to 5. From 1,000 now is up to 2,500. How can we survive with that? The poverty in Lagos now is very high.
Many are calling on both state and federal governments to urgently address the economic challenges and provide relief to struggling families.
Progressive Congress APC has debunked rumors that it has anointed candidates for the chairmanship and councillorship elections slated for December. The party disclosed this during an interactive session with journalists in Maiduguri. The state APC revealed that it has slashed the chairmanship and councillorship forms to 2 million naira and 500,000 naira respectively, and 1 million for female contestants, while 250,000 is fixed for councillorship. The Borno State APC chairman, Ayuba Bello, attributed the review to insecurity and economic difficulties in the state. He urged women and persons with disabilities to seek political offices as the election draws near.
We feel we cannot raise the price to that of, say, Katsina, Lagos. For Katsina, they charge 5 million for chairmanship. And for councillorship, they charge 2.5. So we feel in Borno, for councillorship, we charge 500,000 only. Then for chairmanship, we charge only 2 million. So we feel this is quite moderate, it's affordable, people can afford to purchase without any difficulties compared to other states.
Is there any consideration for women?
Well, for women and people with disabilities, we feel we have to do justice to them. We have to at least reduce the price by 50%.
In a major boost to agricultural development and entrepreneurship, the Jigawa State Government has signed a landmark Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with Agri-Girls Services Limited of India for the implementation of the Jigawa Agri-Business Incubation Program. The report.
The agreement, described as a transformative step for the state's agri-business ecosystem, was signed in the presence of Governor Umar Namadi with the Managing Director of the Jigawa Investment Promotion Agency, Invest Jigawa. Representing the state government, while Soumi Sunkara, Chief Executive Officer of Agri-Girls Service Limited, signed on the behalf of the Indian company. The MOU follows the comprehensive feasibility study conducted by Agri-Girls, which provided a detailed roadmap for implementing the program across the state. The initiative aims to transition Jigawa's agricultural sector from subsistence farming to a modern, profitable, and market-driven agribusiness model. Under the agreement, the Jigawa Agribusiness Incubation Program will train 10,000 entrepreneurs, with at least 50% of the beneficiaries being women, in a deliberate effort to promote inclusive growth and gender balance. The program also targets the establishment of 500 new agribusiness SMEs, the creation of 15 new value-added agricultural products annually, and the development of 3 operational clusters that will serve as hubs for agro-processing, training, and innovation. Officials estimated that the initiative will create over 2,000 new jobs each year, boosting economic activity and income generation across rural communities in the state. Speaking at the event, Governor Umar Namadi reaffirmed his administration's commitment to transforming Jigawa into a leading agribusiness hub in Nigeria.
The name of Jigawa will be not only in Nigeria, but outside Nigeria, because the products that will be produced as made in Jigawa will move far beyond our thinking. And one interesting thing, all these things is going to be done by the local people, by especially the women. I think this is something that we don't need to think twice in going into it, because that is exactly our vision. How do we empower the people at the rural community? And the entire program of Agriga is empowering the people at the local community, especially the women and the youth.
The CEO of Agri-Girls, Soumi Sunkara, commended Jigawa State for its strategic approach to agricultural reform, noting that the project would integrate technology, training, and value addition to unlock the full potential of the state's agricultural resources.
So this is the bigger vision what we have, sir. The brand would be the Jigawa Mart. We want to start off with the Duse market first, and we also want to start off with other markets which are available across. Maybe we'll also go out of state and say to publicize, to brand ourselves in Kano, Abuja, and everywhere. So the Jigawa Mart would be there, where these local products will be placed, because when we are complying with all the licenses, with everything, they can actually be there. And simultaneously, they also sees motivation when they come and visit the city that this is made by us. Yes, so that actually will be a lot of inspiration for them to come forward. This is the next steps. What we are, the first thing is like baseline and all these yesterday we have mentioned, and we want to actually make this Made in Jigawa brand.
With this MOU, Jigawa State is set to become a model for agribusiness-driven development in Nigeria, linking farmers to markets, fostering innovation, and creating sustainable livelihood for thousands of its citizens.
Moving on, Adamawa State Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to improving key sectors such as healthcare, education, infrastructure, and security. He noted that these efforts are aimed at enhancing the quality of life of citizens and ensuring that youth benefit meaningfully from government programs. The governor was speaking during the Forward Adamawa Summit held at the banquet hall of the Government House, Yola. Trust TV's Gibson Saudigo reports.
The Forward Adamawa Summit brought together critical stakeholders, youth groups, and policymakers to discuss ways of sustaining the state's development agenda and empowering young people for leadership and innovation. Governor Ahmad Murfentry, represented by his Principal Special Assistant on Social Mobilization, Victor Dogo, commended Forward Adamawa and its partners for organizing the summit, describing it as a timely and strategic in mobilizing citizens towards supporting government initiatives. He urged the organizers and participants to remain united in championing peace, progress, and people-oriented development across the state.
As you gather after now to continue the training session, where most of you will be trained in knowing your rights, to protect your rights, in knowing how to vote, and to vote rightly. I expect the best will be the outcome.
In their separate remarks, Ishaya Inwat Darkwa and Declan Desmond commended Governor Ahmad Murfentry for the monumental developmental achievements that have transformed the state. They call on youth to take an active role in leadership and ensure the right leaders are elected into the elective positions in the state for the overall benefit of the masses.
You can think of education, healthcare, agriculture, security, unity. The governor has done tremendously well. And it is important to look at these things and begin to talk about what can we do as a people to sustain that which has taken place so that generations to come would have reason to celebrate.
Goodwill messages were delivered by representatives of the Muslim Council and the Christian Association of Nigeria and other community leaders who applauded the initiative for fostering dialogue and inclusivity. Gibson Soadgo, Trust TV News, Yola.
Now, a business reporter with Daily Trust newspaper, Farouk Shuaibu, was among the journalists honored at the West Africa Media Excellence Conference and Awards, WAMECA 2025. Shuaibu, who emerged as a winner, was nominated among 26 finalists for the award ceremony with an entry while Nigerians ditched the in-era under the Digital Public Infrastructure, Digital Public Goods Reporting category. The category highlights how governments in Africa are using digital infrastructures to better the lives of their citizens. Catherine Gicheru, a grand jury for WAMECA, said the story was selected as the theme at the Daily Trust exposed how Nigerians' bold experiment with digital currency stumbled. Through sharp reporting and human stories, they revealed this disparity between innovation and reality, showing how poor communication, technical failures, and lost confidence turned a national milestone into a cautionary tale. In a statement earlier, MFWA said it received 793 entries this year and were submitted by journalists from over 600 media outlets across 15 West African countries. And now to business news. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has warned that tax evasion and other financial malpractices are not only illegal but a disservice to Nigeria's development. The acting zonal director of the EFCC's Kano Directorate, Saad Hanafi, said this known during a one-day sensitization workshop organized jointly by the EFCC, the Nigerian Customs Service, and the Kano Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. Hanafi said such illegal practices deprive the nation of critical revenue needed for infrastructure and social services. He noted that the Commission, in collaboration with sister agencies, is using intelligence and technology to tackle financial crimes and promote trade compliance. Also speaking, the Zonal Coordinator of Customs Zone B, Nsikan Umo, highlighted the deployment of advanced tools such as artificial intelligence, data analytics, and trade facilitation systems under the leadership of Controller General Bashir Adeniyi. She said the initiative aligns with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, aimed at achieving sustainable economic prosperity through transparency and accountability. And away from Nigeria, in a dramatic turn of events, groups of Madagascar soldiers on Saturday joined thousands of youth-led protesters in Antananarivo. Voting began Sunday as Cameroon holds presidential elections, which 92-year-old Paul Biya, the world's oldest serving head of state, is expected to win, extending his already 43-year-old grip on power. Biya faces 11 opponents, including former Employment Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari, 79, who has generated unexpected enthusiasm among voters in the Central African nation, where half the population is under 20. The 8 million Cameroonians who are eligible to vote in the one-round election have for the most part only known one ruler in their lifetime. Biya has been in power since 1982 and has won every election in the past 20 years by more than 70% of the ballot. But he said that the campaign in recent days had been much livelier than was usually the case at that stage. Biya has kept his customary low profile during the campaign, appearing in public on Tuesday for the first time since May, looking visibly fit. And now to sport news. Ahead of their crucial 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations WAFCON qualifier, the Benin Football Federation has confirmed that the Cheetahs will host Nigerian Super Falcons in Lomé, Togo. The decision comes after Benin failed to secure approval for any of their home stadiums from the Confederation of African Football, CAF. As a result, the federation opted to play its home fixture to its Stade de Kagio in Lomé. The first leg of the second-round qualifier will be held in Togo later this month, while the return leg will take place 4 days later in Nigeria. The aggregate winner over the two legs will advance to the 2026 WAFCON finals, which will be staged in Morocco. The Super Falcons are the defending champions and will be aiming to continue their dominance on the continent. We have come to the end of the news hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news. I am Maria Medrez. Thank you for watching.